We're here. When we clock in, we're not asking to be heroes. We're not asking to be saints. We're just asking to go home whole. But for some of us, that's not what happens. This episode is hard, but it's necessary because we're talking about a nurse, our sister, who was violently attacked on the job in the hospital doing what she's done for 30 years. Her name is Leelamma Lal.
Say her name, because what happened to her is not rare. What's rare is that we're finally talking about it. She was working at Palms West Hospital in Wellington, Florida, and on January 27th, 2025, she was brutally assaulted by a 24-year-old patient.
Let's be clear, this wasn't a scuffle. This wasn't an incident. This was a beating. She suffered a fractured skull, brain bleed, broken ribs. This was violence in a hospital against a nurse.
And the system's response? No deficiencies found. That's what the inspection report said. No deficiencies. You know what I call that?
Gaslighting, erasure, and honestly, institutional betrayal. Because if a nurse can be nearly killed and a report comes out saying everything's fine, then that tells you exactly who matters and who doesn't.
It's like saying the house didn't burn down because the smoke detector worked. We're out here watching people fall through the cracks while they check the damn boxes.
Exactly. And while they're protecting their image, Leelamma is fighting to learn how to walk again. Let that sink in. A nurse who stood for 12-hour shifts, who gave comfort to strangers in their darkest moments, now needs physical therapy to regain her basic motor function.
She was transferred to St. Mary's due to complications from her injuries. And that move? That wasn't recovery. That was survival. That was starting over.
And she is starting to recover now, thank God. But recovery isn't just physical. It's emotional, it's spiritual, and it's slow.
And where's the public statement of accountability? Where's the reform? Where's the hospital saying we failed our nurse and this can't happen again?
Instead, we get no deficiencies found.
Let's talk about the real deficiency here. The lack of protection, preparation, and policies to keep nurses safe.
Because here's the truth, workplace violence in healthcare isn't new, it's just normalized.
You hear about a nurse getting hit, spit on, cursed at, and people shrug it off. Well, that's part of the job.
But it's not, it should never be.
The numbers back it up. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, healthcare workers experience violence on the job at rates 5 times higher than other industries.
5 times, and most of it goes unreported. Why? Because nurses don't want to look weak. Because we're gaslit into thinking it's just another part of caring. Because we're afraid of retaliation.
Or worse, we're afraid no one will do a damn thing about it.
So what happens? We internalize it, we carry it, and eventually it breaks us.
And I don't care what the inspection report says, this system is showing symptoms. And the prognosis? If something doesn't change, it's terminal.
That's why we have this podcast, to say what we know is true. Nurses deserve to be safe. Full stop. Not just celebrated during Nurses Week, not just in marketing videos, but every single shift.
This isn't about one nurse. This is about all of us. And Leelamma's story, that's the wake-up call.
So if you're listening and you've ever been threatened, grabbed, pushed, or made to feel unsafe at work, you're not alone. We believe you. We see you.
And we're going to keep showing up week after week until the break room is safe enough for truth and the floor is safe enough to do your job without fearing for your life.
This is The Broken Shift.
Now let's get into some accountability. Where's OSHA in this? Where's the Florida Board of Nursing? Where's HCA, the corporation that owns Palms West, with their billions in profit?
They're quiet, they're calculating, and they're covering liability.
Meanwhile, we've got nurses working in psych units with no security, ER nurses using clipboards as shields, techs getting punched during vitals. But it's okay, right? Because no deficiencies.
Let's make this plain. If a hospital has no plan to de-escalate violence, no training, no assigned security to high-risk units, no policies around reporting threats, they are part of the violence.
And here's the deeper truth. We've been conditioned to feel disposable. You can be competent, compassionate, dependable. But the moment something happens, you're a liability.
That's why we're lifting these stories to say no more. Not in silence, not in shame, not on our shift.
We're going to share more stories like Leelamma's in upcoming episodes, and we want yours too. DM us, email us, leave a voice note. We'll protect your identity, but your truth deserves air.
Because the system might not report it, but we will, and we'll keep reporting until policy changes, until every hospital has to prove they protect the people doing the healing.
Until nurses are safe.
Until truth is louder than PR.
This is The Broken Shift. Let's slow this down for a second, because I want to talk about something real, something personal. I've been a nurse in trauma units, psych wards, ERs, and yeah, I've been scared on shift more than once. But we're taught to suck it up. You put on the face, you stay calm, but inside, you're shook.
I remember a patient once. He was disoriented, bigger than me, and angry. I was alone in the room. He grabbed my arm and wouldn't let go. I got out of there, but I remember shaking in the supply room, just staring at the med dispenser like it was supposed to comfort me. And when I told my charge nurse, she said, "He didn't mean it."
That's the part that hurts. The minimization, the silence, like our fear isn't valid unless it makes headlines.
And most of us, we just bury it because we don't want to be that nurse, the one who complains, the one who's soft. But let me say this right now. If you've ever felt unsafe, you are not weak. You're not overreacting. You're a human being.
Let's talk about the bigger picture, the legal part. Because you'd think, after all these cases, nurses assaulted, some even killed, there'd be laws in place to protect us, right?
Wrong. There's no federal law requiring hospitals to have workplace violence prevention programs. None.
California, they passed one, and it's made a difference. But nationally, nurses are out here like unarmed guards. We're expected to de-escalate, defend, and document with no real protection.
There have been bills introduced, like the Workplace Violence Prevention for Healthcare and Social Service Workers Act, but it stalls every time, gets buried in red tape while more nurses get hurt.
And the people in power, they don't feel our fear. They don't chart what we chart. They don't stand in rooms where the energy turns dangerous. But we do, every single day.
That's why this conversation can't stop here. It has to go beyond the podcast, into the policies, into the voting booths, into every nurse's contract moving forward.
We know these stories are hard, but we also know they're necessary. That's why next week, we're bringing more nurse voices to the mic. Real stories, submitted anonymously, that speak to what's happening behind these hospital walls.
And if you've got a story, submit it. DM us, email us, leave a voice memo. You can stay anonymous, but your truth might be the one that helps someone else finally feel seen.
We're not just sharing stories. We're building a record. A case file of what it really means to work in healthcare right now.
This movement is personal, it's professional, and it's long overdue.
Let's write it together.
If you've experienced violence, threats, or fear in your workplace, as a healthcare professional, share your story with us. You're not alone, and your voice deserves to be heard.
Leave us a voice note, send an email, DM us on Instagram at the Bedside Rebel. We'll protect your identity, but we won't protect the silence. And while you're here, make sure to follow, share, and subscribe to The Broken Shift. Your engagement helps us bring these stories to light and helps us push for the change our profession desperately needs.
We see you, we hear you, and we're fighting with you.
One shift, one story, one voice at a time.